Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 44 degrees outside, 6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., and welcome you to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Shane and Tom on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing, and Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor in the house, and glad to have you along with us this morning. Thanks for taking us with you wherever you're headed, and Shane's happy to be along as well. he's riding shotgun over there.
That's right. No seatbelt, no windows. I'm just
That's
in the vehicle.
Right. Yeah, Shane. He sticks his head out the window and yeah, he likes.
And then my ears flap. I like that.
I know. Yeah, he likes to ride. He likes to ride in the car. Yeah. Well, quite a news day going on here. It just keeps right on going with all these political candidates getting underway, and everybody trying to top everybody else is kind of fun to watch as they who can be most outrageous and who's moving up the ladder, who's moving down the ladder. Poor Beto O'Rourke has been kicked to the curb, man. That guy is Pete Buttigieg has just kind of wiped him off the map. I think
it's like garbage.
I know, yeah.
And they don't pick the garbage up because they go back to it.
That's right. Well, Mayor Pete moved into third place with his little get together, and Biden pushed back. Biden says, I don't know if I'm ready. You think he's not getting in, don't you? You think he's going to pass.
That's right. And yesterday, Uncle Bernie's staff sent out an emergency email to everyone. We need more money. Send more money.
That's right. Send more money. So
he's spent the $16 million he's raised.
Wow, man. I'll tell you, this is going to be one expensive race, I guess, by the time all these guys get together. And so, well, what do we got? 19 in there now, 20 if Biden decides to get in, something like that. It's a ridiculous number. And I mean, it's going to be cleared out pretty quickly, I believe. Iowa will clear out at least 5 or 6. They just won't have the money or the resources to continue.
But Iowa's next year.
Well, that's true, but yeah, I don't know why are you campaigning a year ahead of time before you even go anywhere? I mean, that seems so silly. You guys in Canada have it right, don't you? Don't you have a
90
rule?
days, baby.
Yeah, you can't campaign before 90 days before the election. Wow.
Yeah,
they must get around that somehow. Don't they have sound bites here and there, and
yes,
they comment on this and that, and.
Yes, they do. But more importantly, they on raising their own money, because our elections are financed by taxpayers.
Right. Yeah.
So, but on if the parties have their own money, they can run TV ads.
Okay. So they can tout whoever they think they want. Yeah.
So within the next 60 days, we'll start seeing TV ads, about the principal leaders of the parties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I saw Betsy DeVos the other night. She is running a PAC for the president, so she'll be able to raise a couple of bucks, I would imagine, for him.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to enjoy her eggs Benedict now. I mean, really.
Well, yeah. She's out of the business administration, so she's a free agent. So
she's a free agent. She can eat anywhere she wants.
That's right, man. She's ready for it. Well, let's see here. What do we got to talk about? We got weather this morning. 64 is our high today. Cloudy, and then rain all over the place for the next week and a half or so. But anyway, 64 the high today, 43 the overnight low. Cloudy today, no chance of precip. And then the rain moves in early morning and mid-afternoon. And 60 degrees will be the high. 33 the low, and on Thursday, 58 degrees, 37 will be the overnight low. Mostly cloudy there, no chance of precip. You get a little break from the rain, but then Friday afternoon and late Friday, as the evening goes on, showers. About a 70% chance of showers around the area, so be ready for that. And on Saturday, 58, mostly cloudy, less than an inch of precip predicted. And on Sunday, 43 degrees, a low of 29, and rain and snow mix in there, about an inch of something. So
there you go.
we'll see how that plays out. Temperatures around our immediate area, let's look at those. Livingston right now is 48 degrees and partly cloudy. Manhattan's 42. Three Forks is 40 degrees. Gallatin Gateway is 44. Ennis is 43. Gardner's 35. Big Sky is 37 degrees right now and mostly cloudy there. At the airport in Belgrade, it's 42 degrees. And at our downtown studios in beautiful Bozeman, Montana, it's 44 degrees here. And we're looking for a nice, pretty nice day today. 64 degrees and a little cloudy, but no rain, and should be nice. So get out and enjoy the weather out there, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, this day in history, Shane, boy, 1616. We're going way back.
We are.
Way back.
And a great writer, Miguel de Cervantes. A lot of people, again, like you and me,
yeah.
You know, it was one of those books we had to read, Don Quixote.
Right. Don Quixote had to read it. Yep.
Yeah, and the remarkable thing is that Don Quixote has been translated into over 140 languages and dialects.
Wow.
And after the Bible, it's the most translated book in the world, which is why he was renowned in Spain at the time when he wrote it, because, you know, he was considered such a brilliant individual. And the first modern novel, it was the first modern novel and the best work of fiction ever written, most people claim, which is one of the reasons it's on people's top 100 list of books to read.
I would think so.
And he was so influenced of the Spanish language because of his book, Don Quixote. The Spanish language is also referred to as the language of Cervantes.
Wow. So there you are. Yeah.
That's the most important thing to learn this morning with your cup of coffee.
Yeah. I don't think there's any danger of English being named after us, huh?
No.
Probably not.
There's so many things we can't say. We can't go viral.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, we do write and speak good, huh?
Yeah, we give good talk.
Yeah. 1789, President-elect George Washington and his wife moved into the first executive mansion. That was the Franklin House in New York City, also known as
the Samuel Osgood House, which was demolished in 1856. Samuel Osgood married Walter Franklin's wife after Walter died, and he took over the mansion and then rented it to the U.S. government. And the Washington family and household staff lived there from April 23rd, 1789 to February 23rd, 1790. And it's in the lower district of Manhattan, in the Tribeca district, in the financial district of Manhattan. And still, there's a plaque there today.
All right. Yeah. And that was back in the days when the president took office in March, not in
that's correct.
January. So,
and that's when the seat of your government was in New York City, in the old city chambers in the South Manhattan area, the Tribeca area. Yeah.
1791, James Buchanan, the 15th President of the United States, was born in Franklin County, Pennsylvania.
Amazing, interesting, and most serene type of presidency, 15th President of the United States. He served immediately before the Civil War. He was followed by none other than Abraham Lincoln, and he was preceded by Franklin Pierce. One, of course, was more dynamic than the other, as we all know. But Buchanan's interesting because he was from Pennsylvania, and he was from the Andrew Jackson Democratic Party, which you hear a lot of people talk about today about the comparison to Andrew Jackson and Trump and so forth.
Right. Yeah.
But the interesting thing about it was that he started off and he was one of these 19th century politicians. He was a politician his entire life, like so many today. He started off, working in government offices as a Secretary of State, and then ran for the House, and then the federal House, U.S. House, and then the Senate. So nothing major in his presidency to speak of, other than, of course, the most major thing of all, Dred Scott and versus Stanford, the worst decision, obviously, a lot of people have claimed made in the United States because of new states coming in. and wanting to determine whether they were slave states or not.
Yeah.
And
how they counted everybody and
exactly
were represented. Yeah. Well,
Well,
also, some historians think that James Buchanan may have been the first gay president too.
that's right. He was single.
Yeah,
very good point.
single his whole time, lived with another man for most of the time, and Andrew Jackson used to refer to him as "Here come the girls."
That's right. Very good. Yeah. And he also called him Doughface.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. There you go.
So we don't know. So we may have already had our first gay president, and a lot of people aren't aware of it. And I said, I don't know, but that's many historians have said there's certainly a possibility of that relationship. So
and everyone in school learns about the Lincoln Douglas debates. Well, you know, Stephen A. Douglas first ran for president in 1856. So this was his second time that he lost. He lost twice to two Democrats and then to Lincoln. So he never got elected president, but he sure tried.
He
Sounds
tried,
like another family we know, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, in 1928, child actress Shirley Temple was born in Santa Monica, California, and certainly through the 20s and 30s and whatever, made quite a name for herself as many movies, and a credible little actress, and went on to become a UN ambassador.
That's right. She was the United States ambassador to Guyana and Czechoslovakia, and under Nixon, and then she served as chief of protocol under Nixon, which is a pretty interesting job considering what is involved. But she was an actress from 35 to 38, and remarkable talent, obviously, because if you watch them, it's incredible.
Yeah.
She was so revered because of the time, because she did 14 films. From the ages of 14 to 21, then she retired from the movie industry. Yeah. But it's fascinating to look at it from the context of, you know, her film career and what she was, you know, what she was basically paid at that time, which she started off with $150 a week, 7-year contract, and her mother $25. Well, you got to remember that you'd have a dinner for a quarter, right?
Right.
At a restaurant.
That was big bucks. That was pretty big bucks. Yeah.
So she basically earned equivalent to today's standard, about $38 million. So
something like
that.
Not
bad. Yeah, that's pretty good. And
not bad at all. Yeah. So, well, in 1940, about 200 people died in a dance hall fire in Natchez, Mississippi, and that was quite a blaze there. And 1954, Hank Aaron and the Milwaukee Braves hit the first of his 755 major league home runs in a game against the St. Louis Cardinals. Aaron's career total second only to Barry Bonds, and Aaron did it without the benefit of steroids.
And fewer games.
And fewer games, yeah.
Fewer games for your teams. So I mean, there's no. It's like the Babe, right?
Yeah.
You know. Even the Babe had fewer teams. I mean, you know, you can't compare any of these guys, really.
No, it's well, the ball's different, the bats are different.
Yeah,
you know, there's all kinds of different differences between those eras. But
I get in trouble because when people start talking baseball, I say, well, it's a game of mediocrity. If you only have to hit the ball like 2 out of 10 times at bat in every game, like just hit it. Not just hit it. It doesn't matter whether it goes anywhere.
Yeah, right.
But you become a great player. You know.
Well, I was gonna say if you hit it 3 times out of 10, you're in the Hall of Fame.
4.4 was the best, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I don't think anybody's done 400 since Ted Williams did it.
That's right. The
back
in
the 40s, yeah.
4 out of 10 times. Now that's
pretty good. Yeah. Or you look at Joe DiMaggio, 56 consecutive games with a hit.
That's impressive.
That's one that'll probably stand forever with the kind of pitching that we have today, and the batters are, don't play full games sometimes or whatever. So that's pretty tough to do.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to start wearing those surgical eyes, that when you see these medical shows and then they got the glasses on with the little microphone
microphone on it so they can see the ball.
Magnifying glass, they can see inside the body better. And then I see them starting to wear those so they can see the ball sooner than
Right.
determine.
There you are.
What is it? 2 seconds
Yeah.
they have to decide what to swing, right?
Yeah, something like that. Well, Tony Gwynn claimed he could see the seams on the ball when it was coming.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He was a pretty good hitter in his own right, too. So, well, in 1968, leftist students at Columbia University in New York City began a week-long occupation of several campus buildings. And, that was the beginning of that 1968 Democratic Convention and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And this was important because historically, Nixon was running for president, the legal, I'm going to save America's campaign, blah, blah. But this was the lead up to the 68 Democratic in Chicago where everything really fell apart.
It all fell apart, yeah.
All
right, I got to take a quick break here. We got Headwaters Livestock Report for you, so we'll be back following that, so hang on. 23 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 44 degrees outside. Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor in the house. Shaman Taubman, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia, and welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox. Let's see, from our text line, let's not discuss baseball before we understand the game. Signed, a true baseball fan. Well, there you go. That is certainly true. Our text line, 478-8298, if you want to get involved in the program, or you can call us at 522-TALK, 522-8255. Hey, our poll question of the day, do you believe in conspiracy theories? Do you believe in conspiracy theories? Your answers are yes, no, or I can't comment because they're watching me. So, so there you are. We'll see which one wins out on that one. So, but anyway, back to our day in history. 1971, the Rolling Stones album "Sticky Fingers" was released. I don't really remember "Sticky Fingers" too much, but
that's 49 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's probably why I don't remember it. Yeah.
Uncle Mick is 75.
Yeah.
Just had a balloon put in his aorta.
Yeah.
So. And he's gonna do the thing again. They're gonna go out.
They're gonna go on tour. Yeah.
We talked about this the other day, right?
I don't know. Nobody gave those guys any chance of living past 30. I mean, God, there they are out on tour, going nuts again. They're like
in this order: women, booze, and drugs, and and a wild time, right?
I was going to say, I guess they're out there with the walkers and
yeah, exactly.
I don't know, imagine. Oh, I don't know. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Yeah, this is Montana Tom here.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How's it going?
Good.
Living your dream.
I'm living my dream. We both are.
Yeah, hi, Shane.
Anyway, good morning, sir. I'm just actually watching his dream by Skype. So
that's right. Yeah, he's watching my dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sticky Fingers is the album with the zipper on the front of it.
Oh,
what a memory! Wow, I'm impressed.
There you go.
I used to have it.
Yeah. Oh man, we're really showing our age, aren't we?
You used to have the album or Sticky Fingers?
This is what both.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Must have been Kentucky Fried Chicken, huh?
Yeah, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken.
There you go. Of course, you can't say that anymore. It's KFC, We don't want that fried stuff anywhere. Can't have that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, that's
favorite
all I
song
got.
on Sticky Fingers. What was your favorite song? Gotcha.
Let's see.
I don't have one because I don't know the album, so I
well, no, Wild Horses is good. Brown Sugar.
Oh, Brown Sugar, yeah.
Bitch.
Brown Sugar, of course. Yeah, very good.
Bitch was another song on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Good job. I'm glad you called in because I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. And we don't want that.
No.
She'll tell us where it was recorded and who the sound engineer was and what floor of the building what floor of the building it was on.
I can tell you the sound engineer for Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd was Alan Parsons.
Oh, okay. Alan Parsons, Eye in the Sky.
Yeah,
he was good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Weird looking, but good.
Yeah.
Always the good people. Like, you don't think that Mick Jagger isn't weird looking? I mean,
well, he's weird looking, yeah. He's weirder looking than he was when he was younger. I mean, you know, he's really,
yeah.
His cheeks are bouncing off his knees, but that he's fine.
and the sun reflects off his teeth and blinds people.
There you are.
All right. Well,
hey, thanks for the call, Montana Tom. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thanks for the info. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Take it easy.
We'll see you later, guys.
All right. Thanks. All right. Well, Coca-Cola, they made a big mistake in 1985. They announced, that was their mistake. They announced they were going to change the secret formula, and the people went nuts. And, they even did taste tests that proved people like New Coke better, but they wouldn't buy it. So
that's right.
And we're probably drinking New Coke today, for all we know. Who knows?
Oh yeah. Well, it's amazing because it was created in 1886 by John Stiff Pemberton in Atlanta, Georgia, and he sold it to the Coca-Cola Company for $2,300 in 1889. Imagine.
Wow,
and
big bucks.
Bizarre. It was originally because he was a pharmacist, right?
Yeah.
He actually made it with cocaine, which at that time was used as a painkiller. You know, that's what it was used for after the Civil War, rather.
There you go.
And it's turned into this, of course, famous, iconic. What can you say? May 8th, 1886, 132 years ago, was founded by John Smith Pemberton. So there you go. Go have a Coke and turn us on to a ad, will you, please?
All right. There you go. All right, we got to duck out of here, pay a couple bills. Jeff Krauss will join us at 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking with him about, we'll be talking about some things we got coming up. We got a lawsuit against the city and the county. We got the city settling a lawsuit, so we got a lot to talk about here when we come back. So stay tuned for all of that, and Shane and I will be right back right after the news. So stay tuned. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019. Well, I was going to say December. I don't know what month it is. I'm just old. April 23rd. There you go.
November, Thanksgiving, because that's the next big holiday.
That's right, the next big holiday, yeah. Well, the problem is we don't have any holidays until May from January, any holidays that are worth even talking about. So it's a bad situation. From our text line, speaking of conspiracy theories, I think Mick Jagger, Carly Simon, and Steven Tyler are all the same person. Look at their lips. Case closed. All right. So there you are.
The only problem with that is only two of them wear scarves.
Yeah. I don't know, but
silk scarves.
That's a good good way to look at that. So, all right. From in news, of course, the district we got rid of our superintendent. Superintendent of schools went to Missoula, so now we're on a fast track superintendent search. Montana School Board Association is going to spend $7,500 to coordinate a national search for a new superintendent. They tentatively set May 17th deadline for applications, with a goal of hiring a new superintendent, hopefully by the 10th of June. So, if that's possible, we'll see how that works out. Rob Wilson was hired, The Bozeman School Board launched a search, as I mentioned, and an aggressive timeline to replace departing the superintendent, Rob Watson, and also hired Mark Ator of Colstrip as Bozeman's new activities and athletics director. So They voted 8-0 to hire the Montana School Board to spend the $75 and go after go find a new superintendent. So
there you go.
Yeah, pretty. So hopefully they'll be successful in that. And let's see, the city agrees to settle a campaign lawsuit. Bozeman commissioners will settle a lawsuit that accused city officials of breaking campaign laws in the lead up to last year's election. We had Roger Koopman on talking about that. As you know, he felt that, all the signs that said, vote for the city center, city safety center, were more like voting for a politician rather than giving the people what they wanted. So the commission was a 4-1 vote, and the one vote was not Jeff Krauss. So we'll be talking about that when he comes in. Apparently they've settled that, and they've settled it for $21,955, which will pay Koopman's attorney fees for bringing the suit.
There you go.
So that's where they are as far as that goes. So we'll see how that should play out, and that'll just come out of the general fund, according to sources. And also, the city and county likely headed for court over a road project. So we got that going for us as well. Bozeman and Gallatin County may tangle again in court as the city prepares to send the county a long-debated $900,000 bill for a road project on the northwest side of town. The Bozeman Commission unanimously approved a special improvement district Monday for the large construction project at West Oak Street and North Ferguson Avenue. The work finished last year, created bike lanes, connected streets, extended Ferguson, widened Oak Street, and built out Flanders Mill Road near the county-owned regional park. So that's we'll see how that goes. But Mayor Cindy Andrews said, "I think it's fair. I think it's safe." Well, I guess you would.
Yeah, it's good to know that the people aren't just suing the county or the commission. The county now filed a lawsuit against the contractor, for your storage facility. So
right, yeah.
That's it, dude. So there's arrows going back and forth everywhere there. It's great.
Well, it certainly appears that way. So, all right, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back right after this. 18 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 44 degrees outside. Shaman Taubman on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing. And
I don't know. And today it's so amazing because what do you talk about? I mean, every day we come now, and there's such a list of things to talk about. It's like
I know it just never ends.
People don't know. We talk a bit off the air before we come on, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at this list. It's like
I was going to say we got to pick and choose what we're going to talk about. So. Well, that's why we have a phone line and a text line. If there's anything you want to talk about, by all means, give us a call. If we don't mention it, we'll be happy to entertain it for you. From our text line, for the life of me, I can't understand how buying life insurance from Ethos could be such a big turn-on. Stupid ad. So, well, I agree. I think the dog set on my science project is probably a better one than the couple with the kids in bed and checking all the boxes and all that. But well, I don't know, man. I don't. I just have to play them. I don't pick them. So,
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. It's not our fault. All right. So.
I just have to say, I don't remember that many times being married, having a discussion about what we would do in the evening when we had nothing to do.
I know, yeah.
I do remember having several conversations that were short about, not tonight, I don't feel well.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that, the discussions about what to do for the rest of the evening were more when I was single than when I was married. Exactly. Most of the time it was, let's go to bed and go to sleep.
And we're walking up to that line now. Be
That's
careful.
Right. Yeah, I know. Got to be careful. Oh, well. Well, of course, we got...
Look, props to you, because the other thing that is so remarkable, and this I want everyone to think about, is how amazing the reality is to the expression, all politics are local.
Oh, yeah.
with the absolute collapse of the fourth estate in your country, it's local news now that's everything, because it's the only thing that's transparent and real. And so props to you there, Mayor. You do a great job, and you get everybody excited, and they get an opportunity to talk about things they don't know whether they're real or not, but they always know the truth about what's happening in the Gallatin Valley.
Yeah, well, $903,000 bill to the county is certainly
there you go.
that they're aware of, I guess. I don't know if they think it's funny or not, but anyway, negotiations between the city and county over the project heated up in April 2017 when the city first created a district to pay for the work. At the time, the city estimated taxing the county $1.1 million. So actually, they saved the county a little money only by taxing them $903,000. So that should be good enough, wouldn't you think? I mean, come on, giving you almost 10% off.
That's right. It's a party discount.
Well, there you go. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Steve.
Hey, Steve.
I actually had to call in and disagree with Shane for once.
Oh, good. All right.
Oh, yeah.
We like that. Yay. Yeah. Because you go to the front. You go to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Huge.
So Shane said with the collapse of the fourth estate, it's all on local media. But I watch my local media every single night, and they are
really?
just as biased and just as agendaed as any of the mainstream networks.
Well, give us a break now.
Yeah.
Come on.
I was going to say that because, most people refer to the Chronicle as the comical, because of some of their stories.
KBC is a bit of a joke to me most of the time.
Yeah.
One thing that just really sticks in my mind is there was a possible firing of a transgender youth.
Yeah.
And KBZK jumped on that story so fast before the facts of the case were even established, because they have an agenda. They're on board with the mainstream media's agenda. And I see that stuff all the time. For example, just this morning, it was about Mueller and how it laid out 10 items of possible obstruction and blah, blah, blah. And I literally had to mute the TV because I've heard it all before, and I think it's all propaganda. Yeah. So the local media, I'm sorry, Shane, they're just as much in there as the rest of them.
Even the local.
I want to meet the guy that works for the Democratic National Committee that sends out these emails every day with the talking points. Yeah. I really want to meet that guy and have him on the show and interview him.
Yeah,
do you think it's Tom Perez, the head of the DNC?
Well, it could very well be. Well, one day it's damning, and another day it's a manufactured crisis, and another day it's some other term, and everybody uses it. Everybody, it's not
every channel, every hour, all day long. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So
that's why I see it all.
Walking parrot.
Yeah.
So next time you call, offer me a cookie, okay? Next time or a cracker. Next time you call, offer me a cracker, will you?
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Have a great morning.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay. All right. Let's see. Also, we've got the police and fire unions. They've got concerns over the 911 center that they're a little concerned about. They have a long list of grievances, I guess, as unions.
Could you explain this one to me? Yeah.
As unions usually do, including transparency concerns, a degradation of services, and a lack of permanent director. They don't have a director there, I guess, for the 911 center. And the organization sent a letter. Was a vote of no confidence in the current Gallatin 911 center. So we'll see, because that'll be negotiated with the city manager. They negotiate the fire and contracts and all of that. So I'm not sure where 911 falls into that, negotiation or that agreement.
Oh, yeah, and that part of the budget, which guess what? We can talk about it with Krauss today.
What? The budget?
No, just his opinion about this issue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, about the 911 center and all the other things. Yeah. Because
that's sort of important. I don't understand why You know, you think they have a budget every year. Government does this all the time, right? I mean, we see this all the time. And they get a budget, and they always want an increase, cost of living at least, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, COLA was the big win 30 years ago for government to raise, the amount of money they got.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's like what the budget's just to pay a guy to sit in front of a bunch of terminals, and it's not for, like, they don't put aside $5 or $10 grand a year to buy new equipment all the time. Like, what? Like,
well, some do. I don't know. In coming up in May, I'll be talking to the salary committee. I'm on that board that determines who gets paid what in the county.
Oh,
so have been for several years. So I've been doing that for quite a few years, and so we'll be making recommendations for the sheriff and the fire and the police and well, the sheriff, not for the fire and police because that's city, and the county employees, what they what the commissioners will make and all of that. And I don't know. I'm not. It's sort of an exercise that we can make recommendations, but the commission's going to do whatever the hell they want to do anyway. So whether or not,
wait,
whether or not the county attorney gets a raise or the sheriff gets a couple extra bucks or, the county employees make anything else, that's, I mean, we just recommend that they do or don't. And then
You're ruining my tease. I was going to tell everybody I'm looking forward to coming there in July, being in the house with the mayor and then grinding him about being on this committee about salaries.
Oh yeah, well that'll be all right. Yeah, I'll bring all the paperwork. You can look it over exactly. And you can investigate me.
Yeah, I can investigate.
Yeah,
and we'll have to get people to call in with their own questions of the mayor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, we get the info of what the sheriffs and the various counties are getting paid. They're our size and. All of that stuff, and are we on board with whatever, and how much do we have to pay to attract the best people? Those kinds of things. But we've got a budget too, so it's.
You mean you don't use the internet recruiter that makes the job easy for you?
Well, we could do that, I guess. The whatever it is, ZipRecruiter, I guess, huh? Yeah, we should use that. Why are they spending $7,500 on a superintendent of schools when they should get ZipRecruiter on the line and say, hey, what's the deal?
Oh my gosh.
Or what, Indeed or the Monster website or
it has to be all this news strain. You and I haven't had a laugh like this in a long time.
Yeah, helpwantedmontana.com or something like that.
Help wanted.
All right.
That's good.
All right. We got to take a quick break here. And I don't think ZipRecruiter's in here, but, Babel is. So we'll be right back. 4 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019. 45 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the 60s, low 60s today. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. And Greg Gianforte was in here, of course, Friday, as you know, Shane. And he also made a Bozeman visit talking about broadband here, that we certainly need that here for a variety of things to attract high-tech businesses and also for people who want to work remotely.
Work from home. Yeah,
they can work here and do all kinds of computer-related things or online-related things, and they are, they can work out of their home and kind of nice to be able to do that. Well, yeah, you don't have to be in.
It's only going to expand. It's like. The entire service industry that took over from manufacturing, right, we've talked about,
sure.
50s and 60s and 70s. And certainly when the computer age came along in the 80s, your whole industry, the vast majority of people working in the country are service oriented. And so we should do a thing about 5G, because, the whole thing's happening with streaming and why 5G is important, and it is important. It's a big game. It's a big game, baby.
Yeah. Well, 5G is on the way, and a lot of people are talking about don't invest in the phones, invest in the 5G chips.
That's right.
That's where the money is. Get it?
It's the next generation in advanced wireless systems, and it's all about compression, folks. It's like sucking a drink through a straw. You know,
Yep.
you have this big, huge cup of pop, and you drink it through a straw. And it's the same thing like sending a movie through a straw or down a wireless system to your home.
Yeah.
And compression's everything, and G5 seems to have mastered that. So we should talk about it because streaming's coming. I don't know if you noticed, but CBS got their butt saved yesterday. We didn't get to it in 5 things that you need to know. But, you know, they did women's basketball for a lengthy contract. So that's saved their sports network. Really, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you and I get to see this more and more.
Well, we are. Also, Beyonce just made a big deal with Netflix.
That's right, she did,
doing her album and things like that. So I think you're going to see more and more of people moving to things like Netflix and away from, you know, streaming cable. And the cable companies really have a challenge if they're going to stay in business to, you know, begin offering packages where you can pick and choose, you know, what you want. And, you know, but
And we don't have to go far back because it was Michael Jackson with the Thriller album that released the first video, really the best video.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a whole network for it, and then that died. But now maybe that will come back, like you say, like Beyonce.
Yeah.
So now she does a big show on Netflix. Like it's like a fight, right? A big fight.
Yeah.
But it'd be a big release, pay-per-view, big pay-per-view released in a concert.
And you got the album ready to go.
Exactly.
Well, the Eagles not long ago, they released an album through Walmart without going through a music distributor and, you know, gave them, 2 extra songs for the price of whatever a regular album would be or something like that or whatever. So let's take a quick phone call before we have to go. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. Now, Shane, you can't be mentioning straws on the air anymore, especially in California, if some of this skips over.
Oh, really?
There was something on the news earlier this morning about how they are not going to offer straws unless you ask for one in California now due to the garbage mess all over the world.
Wow. All right. Hey, thanks for the info.
Okay, see you, bye.
All right. Thanks much. Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't catch any of that. You'll have to tell me what he said.
We'll be back right after the news. All right, thank you, Dan. Welcome back, everyone. 4 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 44 degrees outside. Shane Tobin, my co-host and half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor in the house. Jeff Krauss will join us at 8 o'clock, so stay tuned for that because we've got all kinds of city lawsuits going on that we want to talk to Jeff about. Put him on the hot seat, but well, of course, right now we have the 5 things you need to know, right, Shane? All right, Shane. Let me plot Shane up here. I forgot to put you up. There you are. Now I can hear you. I'm sorry.
I can hear you.
Okay, well, the House Judiciary Committee issued a subpoena to former White House counsel Don McGahn on Monday, requesting he testify in front of a panel on May 21st. The subpoena also gives McGahn until May 7th to hand over documents related to former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn discussing sanctions with former Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak and President Trump's firing of former FBI Director James Comey and possible pardons for Flynn, Trump's ex-lawyer Michael Cohen, and Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Whatever happened to attorney-client privilege, Shane?
Bam! You took that right out of me. Like how this is like so. It's crazy though. I mean, we've gone from crazy gate to crazy though.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the president should be sending them a letter saying, "Are you kidding? You've got everything that Mueller's got."
Yeah.
So go fish, really.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you got Manafort, you got Flynn. Those guys were both beaten up, and their reputation's ruined. Manafort in there as well. You got Michael Cohen in there. How many times did he testify?
Exactly. Like,
come on.
How many lawyers you want to turn on their clients? I mean, no, you're destroying the one reason people thought they should go see a lawyer. Then he can't say anything.
Yeah.
So you're going to destroy the whole industry.
I was going to say, attorney-client privilege extends even when the person's no longer your lawyer. You know,
That's
I mean,
right.
that doesn't, it's not just while you're employed, you know, it's forever. And only the person who, you know, can give the lawyer permission to give up the facts.
That's right. And the precedent is English law precedent,
Well,
not
yeah.
American.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going way back to, I don't know, page 1 of law.
Yeah. So the thing is that this leaves you now, the only two people you can supposedly go see and not say anything is your priest or a psychologist. Oh, that's a big choice.
Yeah, right. That'll work, I guess. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, there's several Supreme Court decisions. They announced they're going to accept 3 cases involving gay and transgender employees, and will deliver ruling on whether federal anti-discrimination laws prohibit employers from firing workers due to their sexual orientation or gender identity. And I know you looked into the 3 cases, Shane. So what do you got?
Well, they're basically the same thing. Gerald Lynn Bostock versus Clayton County, Georgia, just concerning employment, that he was discriminated on, sexual orientation, and his legal team is contending that he was fired as a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. So it's just a general. What does this is going to be more about Title VII and the Civil Rights Act than anything else. That's why the Supreme Court has offered to do this. And you know, his team of lawyers went before the Supreme Court to grant a certificate petition, which is called a en blanc, which is French for, you know, they just want to have a review in front of a panel of judges, not the entire panel. So we'll see how that goes. Then there's Zarda versus Altitude Express, and it started in 2010 with a discrimination in September of 2017. And so the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission of the United States is pursuing this one. So the Justice Department is doing their job. They're out there protecting you. So don't let those Democrats, those nasty Democrats, tell you that, you know, they're only concerned about protecting Trump. And then Amy Stevens is the interesting one. She worked 6 years as a funeral director for 2 funeral homes, and then informed them that she was transgender, and they fired her. It's not funny, but I mean, it's just like, it's so obvious is why, like, when you read the complaint, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that they, you know, fired her because she told them that she was transgender. Anyway, she'd worked for 20 years in the industry, having started out as a minister and then making a change from, you know, of course. But so there you go. That's it. And we'll see how it all rides out, because, you know, this is sort of an important matter for the Supreme Court agenda, obviously, for them to take 3 cases, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, the White House counsel is not a personal lawyer of the president. He or she represents the office, not the man.
That's right. That's exactly why you should claim executive privilege on that. Right?
Yeah, that would be the other thing. Would be executive privilege.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we appreciate the caller correcting us or the texter correcting us on that issue. So
that's right.
Let's see. Trump sues to block subpoena of financial records, and this is another thing that you know. What the 4th and 5th Amendment allows to be safe in in our personal papers and all of that,
That's right.
And not to incriminate ourselves. And particularly if you're going after this as a fishing expedition, which it seems like it is, we don't have we don't have an indictment, we don't have any kind of charge against the president, at least not that I'm aware of anyway. And so what? You're just gonna start asking me for stuff until you find something? What's the deal?
Yeah, well, you know, you and I talked about this morning because it's so dopey. I mean, they're starting from the top and going backwards now with law, because this was turned over by Mueller to a assistant federal attorney in Manhattan, the Southern District of Manhattan or New York, and he will investigate to see if there's some reason to you know, make a charge. Now, if he makes a charge, then you have a right to subpoena.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is so bizarre that the Congress thinks they have a right to subpoena stuff when there's no charge. Like, that's so bizarre.
Well, that's that's the whole thing, and that's why I think this should be held up or should be upheld.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think that you know, unless you've got a valid reason for seeing the financial records from this company, plus you've got, if there were crimes committed before he was president, that's different than crimes committed in office, I would think.
Well, Trump has to look at the good side of things. I mean, Remember the Republicans took, 5 years to get from the IRS the fact that they were taking advantage of conservatives trying to set up PACs, right? Mm-hmm. So probably by the IRS will hold off turning over anything for 5 years with Trump around, right?
Well, maybe. We'll see how that goes anyway. The subpoena was issued after Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, testified that the president had inflated his wealth on financial statements with Cummings, Elijah Cummings, the
chairman.
The chairman of the House Oversight Committee.
Oversight.
Yeah. He inflated his wealth on the records with Cummings seeking to corroborate those claims. So, okay, that's not illegal to inflate your wealth.
That's right.
Unless you're trying to defraud a bank like Manafort did or something like that.
Wait a second. Here's the answer to this one. Okay, especially in your country.
Yeah.
Property taxes. Who inflates the price of your home? The government. Why? So you pay more property tax.
Well, that's certainly we've certainly seen that, haven't we? Every time we open the bill, it's a little more.
Exactly. So why would the state oppose him raising the value of his property? Because he's just going to pay more property tax.
Well, there you are. So, I don't know. So,
crazy world.
Yeah, I know it is. So, all right.
That is funny. I think that's funny.
It is kind of funny, but also President Trump's job approval ratings dropped 5 percentage points since Special Counsel Robert Mueller redacted report was released Thursday, according to Politico. That's like, I don't even want to put an adjective to Politico.
I'm going to defer the polling to you because you've always been great about picking it up.
Well, we can look at what Real Politics says today on the on Trump's approval rating, and let's see. We'll go over here to the latest polls, and we'll go over here to the President Trump's job approval. If it will. Stay here. There we go.
While you're looking that up, I just want the listeners to remember we've told you your country isn't divided. There's 3 groups. 32% are hardcore Republicans, 33% hardcore Democrats. In the middle is the independents, undecided. So Trump's at 39 is a good number because it's up 7 points from his core of 32, which means he's grabbing the independents. So this should scare the Democrats. That's my analysis. There you go.
Well, actually, the approval rating, let's see, he was as high as 41%. He's now at, as low as 41%. He's now at 42.9, according to RealClearPolitics.com, that does an average of the polls. So they've got 42.9 approve and 53 disapprove. But that's not. That certainly isn't unusual. What always gets me is the direction of the country. Right direction, 36%. Wrong direction, 56.9. I don't think I've ever seen that where it's anywhere positive. Even under Obama, it wasn't anywhere close to, to being positive or anything like that. So it was. And that's probably true. I mean, Trump's poll numbers. And I always thought this about President Obama, too, that you don't want the pollster taking the poll thinking the wrong thing about you personally. Exactly. Are you a racist? Are you a white supremacist? Are you what are you? And so I'm not sure how many people give the right answer to these pollsters who call them regarding Trump or regarding any of the Democratic candidates.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're not proving to be valuable anymore. I don't know how they continue to exist, but the people involved in these campaigns will pay them for their polling information.
Well, they certainly do, and I don't know. I would guess, it's always something like, well, let's see, in the polls that were higher for Trump. Let's see, we've got, for example, 45% from IDP TIP, whoever that is, 900 adults,
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
38% was the low for Harvard Harris, and they polled 1,437 registered voters. So,
And
registered with who?
And the political poll was 1,992 people.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they just call 2,000 people? 8 more people would be 2,000. Like, clearly there's a number there that would affect.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, but yeah, you go up to 47% Rasmussen, 1,500 likely voters, 4,600 for Hill Harris poll, 1,000 registered voters. That was 47 and 46 respectively. So that's 5 to 6 points higher than the average approval. But
Exactly.
you go down to the low of 39, and that of course is Politico that we talked about, losing 5 points. So absolutely, why don't we just go after Politico, because that's the only one that's below 40.
Exactly.
Of all these that are in here. And they had 1,992 registered voters. 1992.
Yeah, why not 8 more phone calls?
We couldn't have got 39% if we added the extra 8 people in there.
Yeah, exactly. Or they couldn't afford to make the calls.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we were out of money. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. We'll continue with the 5 things you need to know right after this. All right, it is 21 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m., Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 44 degrees outside. Jeff Krauss will be in the house at 8 o'clock. Shaman Taubman, my co-host, on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing, and Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And we welcome your phone calls. 522-TALK is the number, or you can text us at 478-8298. So let's go to the phone, Shane, see what folks are talking about out there. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, good morning, Tom and Shane.
Hey, I'm sorry I cut you off the other day. You should have called back.
Yeah, well, I got a hit guy on your butt.
Well.
Yeah, as a guy from CNN with a camera, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Bring your lunch. You'll be a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's talking about Pompeo here in his little interview. Lie, cheat, steal. When he was at West Point, I guess, or CIA or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he went on. He's talking about the gas attacks in Syria. So we had our best guys on the ground. Gee, these guys do this stuff every day. They are absolutely positive. Blah 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 blah. Then you take that back to Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn was under investigation in 2014 by the Obama administration.
That's right.
Obama put him in there because he came from a good Catholic family of Democrats, and he figured he'd be okay. But Mr. Flynn, he knew all about arming the rebels. He knew about the gas attacks, and he knew a bunch of stuff. And it wasn't going to paint the CIA in a very good light. And as far as what they were doing, if we all remember, well, maybe we don't, there was not 1, not 2, but 3 supply drops supposedly going to the Kurds that ended up in the hands of the rebels. I think our military is better than that.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, you want.
It did go down. It did go downhill when I left.
Yeah.
It did. Come on. The great mayor. I mean, you had all the answers.
Amen.
But it's just this whole thing, and early on there was a rumor that Hillary had her own little contingent of CIA agents, but everything that Flynn knew was going to paint a bad picture of the CIA right into Benghazi, the whole 9 yards, and that's why they went after him. Mueller didn't go after Flynn until after. They were already investigating him in 2014. And I mean, you talk about a guy getting railroaded. He got railroaded, and I think the reason that he probably didn't say nothing is that they threatened his kid.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they went after the family.
That's about as low ball as you get.
And I think that, when you talk about conspiracy theories, the biggest and greatest one of our lifetime was the JFK shooting. So now, people my age, I look back and I go, like the Bay of Pigs, I start thinking about all these things that, the security services of the United States, when I was living there and growing up, failed on. And big ones like the collapse of the Soviet Union, there's big ones, right? And if you look at the networks now in the last 5 days, they've sort of started to change this because now they're saying, well, we have to straighten this out because we don't want people to lose face in the investigative side of the security network in the United States, because that would be really bad.
Well, the New York Times reporter that said we're going to have to come to the painful realization that Fox News was right.
Well, there's a whole list of their failures. They didn't know this. They didn't know about 911. They didn't know this. They didn't know this. One crisis after another. These guys, were caught off guard. Well, what are they doing? They're investigating me, you, and everybody else.
Give me a budget of $100 billion. Tom and I'll be good guys at this.
That's right.
Intelligence. We're very intelligent.
You'll be dead heroes.
Shane and I can spend the money like you wouldn't believe.
That's right.
Yeah, when you look at the record, though, it's hard to believe anything that comes out of their mouths anymore. With all the things that slipped by them, that turned out to be bad for the U.S. of A. What are they doing? I think you said a long time ago, you don't, when they started tapping everybody's phone, the NSA, what were they doing? They were gathering information.
And it's not the stuff that slipped by them. It's not the stuff that slipped by them. But look what they were telling Obama about ISIS. And he goes out and goes, oh, it's just the JV team.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm getting every day from the intelligence services.
And they take over half the Middle East.
Well, weapons of mass destruction. It's a slam dunk.
Well, yeah.
It's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
So they're doing the same thing. But what they did when they got into the NSA and gathering all this information, you look at the history, and then you look at that, and what they were doing is, well, we're trying to find terrorists. We got to tap everybody's phone, blah, blah, blah. So what they're doing is that they're looking for a needle in a haystack, which they admitted, and they're piling hay on the stack.
Yep.
They just keep piling the hay on top of it.
Yeah.
No
more needles.
Right.
Well, the whole idea of them being intelligent is to be proactive, not reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they claim they're doing, but their record doesn't show it.
No, they always react to what happens. It's just like.
Well, I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but it seems like with the advent of social media and bloggers and all of these investigative people out there who are sitting in their basement and their skivvies, finding this information and putting it out there, with Shane being one of them, I guess.
Right. And that's
is that a good thing, though? That that's how they found out the things they wrote about Bush, his military service. We're incorrect because some blogger, some blogger printed it out in Microsoft Word and it matched exactly, which Microsoft Word didn't exist when this happened. So the blogger's saying, "Hey, guess what? This is a phony."
No kidding. Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think you can expect them to. They're not going to change a whole hell of a lot right now.
Well, they're probably not, because the chances of that happening, one guy finding the answer is remote. And that's kind of what they rely on, I believe, is that we're going to remain stupid and, we're not going to question, just like Elizabeth Warren, I'm all for impeachment. Well, for what? I mean, that's the follow-up question was never asked.
Every country in the world wants your president, impeached because they know he's right.
Yeah,
they don't want to deal with him.
All right, gotta go, Pete.
Yep, take care.
All right,
guys.
thanks, man. Thanks for the call. All right, we got to pay a couple of bills. We'll be right back after the news and some other things. So stay tuned. 26 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 46 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor in the house. And this is the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And Shane's got a market update for us as we go along here. And markets just opened. And, well, things are all over the place as usual, Shane. So
yeah, of course they are.
Take it away.
It's a wandering day on the markets because they're anticipating some quarterly results from the beginning of the year, of course, and they were looking for new results for the second quarter. Leading into summer and the end of the school year, Dow Jones is up 17 at 26,525. It's up 10% for the year. The S&P 500, 2,910, up 10% as well for the year, up 2 today. NASDAQ 100, 7,727, up 13. And the European markets are looking pretty interesting. They're not beguiled in any way, particularly the FTSE in London. It's up, and the DAX, though, is off in Germany, and the CAC in France is off because of their issues still. They got a real bad economy there. And unfortunately, Spain is still trudging down. You know, the IBEX in Spain is falling off. And the Italian economy, folks, you're got to be happy where you are because things are not going well in Europe, nor well in China. The Nike is doing well in Japan, but that's because of auto sales. And China is not doing well. The CSI 300 and Shanghai 50 are moderate to lower and not holding well. The interesting thing, though, is crude oil. The Brent price in Russian price for Europe, 74.27, 66 in the U.S., because you are the largest producers in the world of oil. Gas, natural, 247. Gasoline, 212 average across your country. And heating oil's heading up, interestingly enough, with winter over at 210. And gold is breaking that $1,300 mark a lot in the last 2 weeks. It's down to $1,269, $1,270. Silver is at under 15 rather, at $14. And when we look at the soybean market, down 350, 872. Wheat, 435. Rice is at 1046, and orange juice $106. And corn is at 352. Live cattle 128. Lean hogs 87.93, off $1.25. But feeder cattle are up marginally at 150. Copper and other major industrial metals are holding in there, although they're slacking. Copper's at 288. Coal's at 87.13, not a surprise. Steel at 4,000. And aluminum at 1,800, up 17, but down recently. The bond market is not showing any strength. 258 on the 10-year U.S. and the 30 U.S. is 299, trying to grab $3 or 3% once again. And the euro is holding it at 112, folks. We haven't talked about this in a week, but still trying to hold it there against the King dollar. The British pound, 129, is moving up. So it doesn't seem Brexit has much to do about that. Oh, Canada, 134. Well, that's because our political problems are getting worse. So there's your market roundup, Thomas.
All right. Thank you, Shane. And, of course, we always like to talk about Venezuela's inflation rate. So, of course, good news. Good news on the horizon. Venezuela is doing much better. They were at 2.2 million inflation rate percent, 2.2 million percent inflation rate. They have dropped to 1.6 million inflation rate. So they're down 400,000%.
Well, that's probably because there's no one left in the country. They've all, they're all gone.
Well, apparently, I don't know, but maybe some of that food they finally let in with the Red Cross is paying off. So, yeah, their inflation rate has gone down some. So we are very happy for them. Their jobless rate, as Shane talked about, 7.30%, 7% unemployment. So there we go. Market report.
If you want to send your kids for spring break next year because you didn't this year.
That's right. Send them to Venezuela. They'll have a wonderful time there. Great beaches and wonderful. I don't know. They have any beaches in? I don't know what they.
Oh yeah, they're on the Caribbean.
Yeah,
they got a Caribbean.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So
yeah.
Well, continue with the 5 things that you need to know. Sri Lanka raised the official death toll from Sunday's coordinated bombings at churches and luxury hotels to 321 dead, 500 wounded on Tuesday. And defense minister gave a possible motive for the attack. The preliminary investigations have revealed that what happened in Sri Lanka was in retaliation for the attack against Muslims in Christchurch not too long ago in New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand. He told Sri Lanka Parliament, 28-year-old Australian white supremacist had been charged with murdering 50 people in 2 mosques during Friday prayer services on March 15th. So Sunday's suicide bombings in Sri Lanka struck 3 Christian churches during Easter services and 3 hotels almost simultaneously. At least 40 people have been arrested. On Tuesday, the Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack. So,
and we've covered this again, and it's important we have to because the context is relative. This is all Wahhab Muslim angst. This is not Shiite. This is not Sunni. It's Wahhab. Where does that come from? That comes from Saudi Arabia, and it's a new sect of the Muslim religion. It's only a couple of hundred years old. But the interesting aspect that we all should be alarmed about is in the last 30 years, the oil money that Saudi Arabia has gotten from the Western civilization has gone directly to Wahhab development in Southeast Asia and the opening of tens of thousands of temples or whatever for it to develop. So, the issue with Sri Lanka is Wahhab, and so is it in Christchurch, New Zealand. So be concerned, folks, because this is now telling you that another third aspect of the Muslim religion is now getting angst, right? They're getting that terrorist desire. And that's one thing for the Sunni and the Shiites, because they're over there killing each other in the Middle East. But when a Wahhab starts this in the Southeast Asia problem, not a good thing. Yeah.
No, it's not, unfortunately. And, these retaliations and everything, I don't know. We're going to have the God Squad in here on Thursday. We may talk about that a little bit with them and see how that works out. So they may have their own agenda, but I think we have to at least explore that a little bit with them and see what's going on. So we'll see. Anyway, we got to take a quick break right now, so we'll be back in exactly 3 minutes. Hang on. All right, it's 15 minutes before the top of the hour. Jeff Krauss will join us at 8 o'clock. We've got a lot to talk to Jeff about. Got all kinds of lawsuits running around the city and votes and all kinds of stuff happening. So he'll have his hands full with all the negatives going on with the city and the county and everything else. So we'll be chatting with him coming up shortly. And well, Shane, we had 6 of the Democrats went on the town hall meetings the other night, and we thought we might talk about some of that. Looking at some stories in the news, if you want to look at how the ratings and everything went with Sanders moved ahead of Biden. Which would indicate that the progressive movement is getting traction. So I don't know if that's a good or bad. I mean, it is awfully early. We got 18 months at least till election, but
that's right.
And we haven't had any debates or anything else. But anyway,
well, and as I mentioned, Bernie Sanders sending out a plea yesterday. We need money. Help.
Oh yeah.
This is critical. You've got to send us more money. It'll be interesting to see what kind of result he gets from that, because I really think Bernie's gone after everything that he's done, everything he said, all the money he's raised, and then people find out when he releases his tax returns he's a millionaire. I think his toast is burnt. We'll see.
You think so? Yeah.
I do. I really think that I would.
If you can look back to the Republicans. Everybody thought Jeb Bush would be the anointed nominee, raised the most money by far of everybody else, and ended up on the low end of the spectrum. He was right next to the curtain.
That's right. And of course, there was no journalist out there that did an investigation about the $100 million that was committed or given to him. Like, where did it go after he walked away? Right?
Well, yeah, that too. And of course, Bernie's wife's got some baggage, in her deal with that university and whatever. So, but anyway, Bernie likes the, if we put a 2-cent wealth tax on 75,000 largest fortunes in the country, 2 cents, we can do universal health care for every baby 0 to 5, universal pre-K, universal college, and knock back the student loan burden for 95% of our students, and still have nearly $1 trillion left over. Now, I don't know about his math, but
but his reasoning is false, because all the wealth these people they talk about is enjoined, meaning it's restricted, meaning it's stock, it's in equity in their country, in their companies. Yeah. And if they were forced to sell stock, like Bozos asked to for his wife to pay her cash $56 billion. Yeah. But if they were forced to sell stock, to pay more taxes, guess what would happen in the stock market? Kabam. Yeah. I mean, the logic these people lack is just incredible. Well, it is. And because everybody vilifies the rich, and the rich aren't sitting there with closets full of cash. If they are, they're stupid. That's right. I mean, they're putting the money to work someplace, and they're reinvesting dividends, they're reinvesting interest, and trying to pay as little in taxes as possible, like all of us are. And with Mike, we've talked about intrinsic value, and your media presses this whole political agenda when they talk about a drop in the price of a stock, and they go, oh, this guy lost $15 billion in value. Now, it's an intrinsic value. He didn't lose anything because he didn't sell the stock or buy any. Yeah. He's sitting on its value and its intrinsic value, and he can't sell it because he's a control block. So it's another item at the bottom of his newspaper, or problems to solve. What am I worth today? What does it matter? It doesn't. Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is that Hillary Clinton may have faded somewhat from the public eye. Her failed 2016 campaign has not, rather than a touchstone for a new crop of female candidates, has become a byword for the faith that they hope to avoid. That's right. So exactly. She may have cost the females in this race more than she thought, even though it will be the year of the woman. And and you've mentioned that many times, that it'll be the 100-year anniversary, 2020, October, I believe it is, or August, August
somewhere.
28th, August 28th, yeah.
So there's your
women's suffrage, and think of the words women's suffrage.
Right,
I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, women will no longer suffer if we elect them president, and. Well, we've got plenty of women in there. Who do you want?
Well, and the problem that you have too is that when people like this Omar, Congresswoman Omar, she gets elected, and then she makes a statement. Like she gets up and she's making all these statements, and we don't need to go over all of them except one. She gets up and makes that statement about 9/11, and she starts out by saying, the Council on, CAIR, CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, was created after 9/11. No, it wasn't. It was created in June 1994. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they sit up and they don't know this stuff, and that's why I say every blogger in the world is going to go out and say, "Was that right? Is what she said right?" But no journalist will ask her, or say, "No, are you stupid?" Yeah. It's 1994. What's wrong with you?
Exactly. So it's an interesting thing, and it's sad because the number of women in your country that exist and are just remarkable women, the mothers, the jobs. Wow. How do you begin with Mother's Day coming up? All we can say is we love the mothers and the women of your country, my country, and the world. Because they're the bulwark.
There you go. All right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be right back. 4 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 47 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. And Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor in the house, and you're on the morning soapbox with Tom and Shane. And, there's another interesting thing about this town hall meeting here that CNN put on. Well, one of the weirdest features of the event was that so many of the students asking questions were undergraduates from Harvard, particularly perhaps the most visible symbol of the American elite there is. And there was a clear and obvious explanation. Harvard Institute of Politics co-sponsored the event, so Harvard students got to ask a lot of questions, but that didn't make it feel any less strange. The candidates vying for the leadership of America's center-left party, debating a host of populist policies ranging from Medicare for all to the New Green Deal to reparations for slavery, were questioned by undergraduates at a school where the average student family makes about 3 times the national average. So, giving Harvard students privileged access to potential presidents because the wealthy Institute of Policy, which recently gave fellowships to Corey Lewandowski and Sean Spicer, partnered with CNN, was an on-the-nose example of power and social status buying political access. So there you are, buying political access. What could be better than that? So, or more American than that, I should say.
That's right. And I think one of the things about this that I find fascinating is the Bernie Sanders town hall meeting on Fox.
Yes.
So he comes on Fox. Here's the arch liberal to the left on Fox, a conservative, defend the right. And they sit with his live audience and they applaud him. They cheer him, meaning Fox did a brilliant, what you and I call is important, marketing job. Because so many people on the left watched that on Fox that night. Mm-hmm. I'll bet you 50% of the people that watched it that were liberals have never even watched Fox until that night, right? Of the viewers on the left. And they saw how the audience treated him and they went, well, Fox isn't so bad. They didn't have a bunch of negative people come in and boo him. Yeah. They let people that would support him come in and sit and listen to the town hall. And then you have the contrast at CNN, and it's like, oh, let's shoot ourselves in the foot again.
Yeah, right. Well, no, I did think the Fox was telling because he got a lot of softball questions from the audience, and the audience was on his side. There's no question about that. And I think that made for a good debate because it was really hard for the Bernie people to make an attack on Fox. If they had brought in a bunch of conservatives to, for Bernie to talk to, and they all started yelling and screaming and, shouting him down, then that would have just solidified their view of Fox. And I think a lot of them walked away with a new impression of Fox.
I really do. And I think that's why the CNN tried to come up with this town hall meeting with this format, right? Because they thought, well, this will work out. We'll have a bunch of guys
from Harvard come in. Yeah, that'll work.
Until they open their mouths.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Next question, Buffy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Chip, you're next.
Move over. It's my turn, Tom. Come on, move over.
Chip, you're next. All right. We'll be right back with Jeff Krauss right after the news. All right, welcome. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 47 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Good morning, Shane. And
you got a great fellow vet on the phone to talk to you. He's excited.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah. Jeff Krauss is in the house, 3-time Mayor of Bozeman and current City Commissioner. So
I agree with Attorney General Tim Fox. I want a chicken biscuit for breakfast.
All right, there you go. All right, let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, thanks for waiting. You are on the air. What's going on?
Well, I just often wondered, my kids graduated MSU, and I often wondered why, when you have a degree in politics, they call it political science.
Yeah.
And I know it's not the invention of the screw. Archimedes did that, I think. But I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
Last week in the pet department of the Chronicle, somebody was selling a Bernie doodle for $2,000.
Wow.
Now, I know the Democrats they've really touched on something scientific here. How in the world did they patch a poodle and Bernie Sanders and come up with a Bernie doodle?
Wow. All right. I shudder to see the picture of that animal.
Oh, man.
This is good, though. He's got a question for the Krauss man.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. One question: how come we don't have one sign in the city about driving with handheld devices? And I'll get off now.
Okay.
And listen to your answer.
All right.
They are. Well, as you enter the city, every place you enter the city, there's a sign that says.
Yeah, it's one of those
driving
little
with
white
handheld.
square ones. It's one of the little. Rectangular ones, I should say.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Well,
So it's okay to drive with a handheld device in the county.
Yeah.
It's not okay in the unincorporated areas of the county. It's not okay in the incorporated city of Bozeman. I think we're the only city in Gallatin County that has that. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure whether Belgrade has a prohibition or not.
I don't know about,
But as you drive into town, even on the smaller roads, you'll see it.
Yeah, coming in on, we do Gooch Hill to Baxter.
Yeah.
And when you come in on Baxter, there's a sign there.
Yeah.
As you come into town. And I think there's one on Durston, too.
Oh, and they're on on 7th and Main Street. And they're there.
Yeah, I think you just kind of whiz past them without seeing them, but I'm pretty sure that most places are there. So keep an eye out for them. They may just...
and I guess the bottom line is you can talk on the phone while you're driving in Bozeman if you have Bluetooth or something, but you can't use a handheld device. So those people driving around with the phone in their ear, running the lights and swerving into your lane, and not those are they are breaking the law.
Yeah. Do you watch CNN or MSNBC? I know Shane does.
I do not watch CNN or MSNBC.
Oh, well, I don't know what to do now. So
yeah, I did. By the way, I did read though on Twitter that Bernie Sanders endorsed voting by felons.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And that whole let felons vote, that's a family values vote. Bernie's going after the family values. Of course, it's the Charlie Manson family values, but he's going after family values.
Well, from our text line, 478-8298, I wonder how many Republicans are brave enough to dare watch CNN or MSNBC, yet they swear it's fake news because Trump tells them so. Well, I don't know that we need Trump to tell us, but...
No, we don't.
But Shane and I do sort of have to watch it because we are obligated to, give both sides of arguments here. So there you are.
I'm not a big fan of television news. Most of those shows are hot takes where there's 4 or 5 talking heads yelling at them.
Yeah.
Each
well, in most
other,
cases, they're talking about opinion, like Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
They're talking about, Tucker Carlson and all those guys are opinion people. They're not news people.
Right. And I just can't invite that noise into my space.
There you go. All right. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on the air. Thanks for waiting. What's up?
Good morning. This is Charity.
Hey.
Hi. So, Jeff, I wanted to ask you a question.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Okay. I hear somebody else with a radio.
Sorry.
Yep, I hear myself.
There we go. There we go. Okay, yeah.
Anyway, so I have been encountering emergency vehicles over this past winter and now spring. I just had this encounter yesterday as I'm driving, especially on Huffine Lane into Main Street, Bozeman. And I have discovered that hardly anyone pulls over to the right to, give space for the emergency vehicles to turn into side streets or whatever if they need to. And I'm curious if I have the rules wrong or if everyone else is just ignoring the rules. Because even if an emergency vehicle is oncoming, are we not still supposed to slow down, number one, and not block side streets and perhaps pull to the right?
Yeah, and when you see it oncoming or behind you, you're supposed to pull over. And the reason for that is you don't know whether they're going to turn in front of you.
Exactly.
Right. That is you see. So whether it's now, if it's a separated 4-lane, I'm not sure about the separated 4-lane. Right. You wouldn't pull over on the interstate. Let's see, what's another separated 4-lane? I'm not sure on the separated 4 lanes.
Well, 7th would be one, and parts of 19th are separated.
I think 7th you'd pull over because every block there's a turn.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah,
there's a median, but it's not the same kind of controlled access.
Right.
Yeah. So you have it right.
Yeah, Huffine being a 5-lane highway or whatever, still, I mean, just because the emergency vehicle is not in the turn lane or in the suicide lane, as we call it, does not mean that they might not need to veer around other traffic that isn't slowing down for them or moving over for them.
I'm sure you've got it right.
Okay.
I think so.
But I'm old, and I don't know if when I took a driving test, it was way back in the last century. So I'm just not sure.
That's what I've been curious about. Did anything change since I took it? Because I feel like, yesterday when I tried to move over, I mean, I put my blinker on, but the traffic didn't even budge on the right side of me because I was in the left lane. Yeah. And the traffic didn't slow down or budge. And so then I'm the only one slowing down and trying to merge into traffic, and no one's letting me because they're not pulling over either. And then what do? You just kind of be like, I'm sorry. But I actually saw last fall when I encountered this, I was in the same lane or the same traffic as going the same direction as the emergency vehicles, and they actually had to go around all of us. But nobody looks in their rearview mirror anymore, or has their volume down low enough on their radio that they can hear an emergency vehicle coming. Anyway, it just I know that we were all blocking, lanes and stuff, but there was nothing to do because I once again was in the left lane. I couldn't merge to the right if no one else did.
Yeah.
And, all right.
Anyway, those are my thoughts.
That's it. All right, thank you.
We need a PSA on Facebook or something.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah, we do. Maybe I'll see if the police or sheriffs or someone will do that because, I think you're supposed to pull over and give them free rein down the whole
whole thing
road.
They have to go wherever they have to go. Okay.
You have a great day.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks for the call. All right, let's take another call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you on the air. What's going on?
All right, here's some confused news that I saw in the Chronicle a couple of days ago about the City Hall. Now, supposedly there's going to be on the 30th, which is a Tuesday, there's going to be a hearing about handing out 2 parking permits per house. So that's a Tuesday, and I was wondering if I got it right. They groaned and said, "Oh, no, not more red tape." One of my first memories after getting a car was a woman running out of her house saying, "Don't park there, that's my parking place." And my feeling that rules, more rules, like a child. We're all children and we're going backwards. So are you enough libertarian to question why people can't just walk to a space down the street to work something out with their neighbors instead of being put in stalls with more rules?
Well, in the parking for the university, the parking districts for the university.
And the high school.
And the high school, so the residents aren't able to park because if the students park there, so that's why you have a permit to be able to park in front of your own property.
So, and it really has more to do with it's 10 minutes of 8, and there's a big wad of students circling these residential blocks looking for someone to pull out, and they're not looking at the students crossing the street. So there's a safety issue created in on these blocks near the high school and university, where people are hunting, but they're not driving. They're driving and hunting, but they're more hunting than driving, and it gets a little frantic. And many years ago, this would have been in the 90s, I think, they created the district. Now, what I believe you read has to do with the district around the downtown. And it isn't so much the residents who don't, it isn't the resident. See, everybody thinks that they're entitled to park in front of their house, and that's not really the case any more than they're entitled to be the only people that drive on the street in front of their house, right? The streets belong to every single person that wants to drive down one. And the parking spot in front of your house belongs to every single person that wants to park there.
Yep.
Period. Right? It's
very much.
It's the commons. That is the commons out there. And so, no, you're not entitled to have a space in front of your house, and you're not entitled to have a space, or be the only person driving down your street.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks for the call. Let's see, from our text line, 478-8298. Daniel, there are worse rules under socialism. And Bozeman drivers are the worst. Don't know how to enter a freeway. Don't know how to make a left turn in traffic. And let's see, unless there's a physical barrier between the lanes, all vehicles from either direction must pull over. And let's see.
And that includes Huffine Lane.
Yeah. And please ask Jeff if the company working on Rouse is incompetent or getting paid by the day. Either way, it's been closed for way too long. And let's see. Shane is clicking loud again. So stop clicking, Shane.
Oh, my goodness.
So the Rouse project is a Montana Department of Transportation project.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
a state deal, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. The Montana Department of Transportation. I would say you should write off Rouse for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Forget that Rouse exists south between Main Street
Take an
and
alternate route. Yeah.
Yeah, between Main Street or even one block south of Main Street and Oak Street. Unless you live there, you should probably not go there because it's going to be a large project for the next 2 years.
Yeah, they've got a lot to do there, and
it's Highway 86, by the way. Well, we call it Rouse, but it is State Highway 86. It ends there at 191 at the corner of Main Street and Rouse, as we call it.
Still your tax dollars at work.
It is your tax dollars at work. I don't have, I don't. We're not supervising them.
So you're just sitting back and doing whatever the city can do to. Because City Hall's right there on Rouse.
Yeah.
Well,
it can be a problem getting to City Hall. What I would say is, we tried to have a lot of input in the design of the road. And how it, in fact, I think you're going to see the city through the TIF spend some money on the school across the street on Hawthorne School to mitigate what's going on there. But have some input. And you don't really need turn lanes there in between Lammy and Peach because there's nowhere to go, right? But, so we could have room for a lane of on-street parking. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. The MDT told us, that would be too many different road sections. But for me, it's less about road sections, the more about what the people need that are driving and parking on the street. So I'm not sure how that section turns out, but that section between Oak and Main Street will be under construction for the next 2 years. It has been for a year. They've been running utilities and cutting down trees and scraping houses, and all of that work is going to continue.
Yeah. Well, and also, too, I think, aren't you going to do Cottonwood or Ferguson, somewhere in that vicinity? You're going to widen those roads where they...
Well, I did not come with the road construction report today.
Ah, okay.
But it's always a hot button topic. But I would say it is now spring, which means road construction. You'll notice that road construction has started on Baxter and Davis, and between 7th and Davis, and all of that is getting worked on. And Cottonwood is between Huffine, between Main Street and Durston. Cottonwood is an example of what happens when you have millings over a dirt road that hundreds of trucks a day drive down. It's completely wasted.
Yeah.
It has never been built to a city standard. It's just built to a county road standard from where it below where it widens down to Durston, and it's just trashed. That is all part of the project that included the roads, Oak and Ferguson, around the county park, that included Oak extending through the high school campus and extending Cottonwood down to Oak from Huffine as a city street. All of those projects are included in the big project that included the roads Ferguson and Oak around the county park that we've been talking about that made the paper yesterday or today. All of those. So that's all one big project. We did what we could to make sure traffic could get to, I think, around the park, open of the park. Ferguson, I think about 25,000 cars a day use the Oak and Ferguson streets around the 89-acre park. And so it's a significant, or those are significant routes, soon to be much more significant when Gallatin High School opens up.
Yeah, it's more of an 89-acre vacant lot, isn't it?
Well, it's got the mud bog for the parking lot, and some falling down wooden signs saying it's a park, and it's I guess if you're used to some of the city parks, you would make some of those. I would make some of those observations myself. I think the people every day that use Ferguson, where before you could only turn to the east or turn to the Ferguson turned into Oak, and that was it, right? That was it. And that piece along the park, Oak to Baxter, critical piece of transportation infrastructure in this county. And of course, the extension of Oak to 4 lanes, and the putting in the sidewalks and the crosswalks and the shared use paths, very important for the users of the park, but also more important, I think, once the high school opens up for the users of the high school. And as you know, Oak now extends to, I never remember, Flanders Mill, I believe, isn't it? And will eventually, once the high school is completed, it will be done, extend to Cottonwood. And that is a critical piece of infrastructure, too. Those roads will be good for high school kids that want to walk or bicycle. They'll be safe for pedestrians and bicyclists who want to go to that high school. At least east, coming from the east, inside the city, they'll be safe. And that, I think, was a key piece of what the school district, the city, and the private developer out there, Wolf, that is doing Flanders Mill and some of that other development out there. That was our big worry, was what happens if the high school opens up with these substandard Cottonwood Road-esque county roads, or no roads at all, leading to the high school. And so there was a huge effort several years ago to get these roads built.
Flanders is a county road, so where does that play into the high school and the other? Because is that going to end up being a 25-mile zone because you got a school on both ends of it?
Flanders is a city street. It's built to a city street standard. When we annexed the high school, it became a city street. No.
Flanders, isn't Flanders Mill?
Well, that piece that you're talking about, the 25 miles an hour between Baxter and
the part they resurfaced,
Durston, we didn't just resurface it. We dug it up and rebuilt that road. You'll notice it has curbs and gutters and sidewalks, which is something that county roads do not have.
Okay.
And it isn't trash like Cottonwood, which is, essentially millings over a dirt road is what you would get.
Right.
We actually build streets in the city. And that long piece there, it's by the park. And it's by the high school.
Yeah, because I used to give the county commissioners a hard time about it, because before it was redone, you needed an air sick bag to drive down Flanders.
Absolutely. It was this horrible little road between borrow pits.
Yeah.
And and you can imagine a lot of kids walking down in between the borrow pit and a non-existent shoulder going to the high school. So that was a key piece of citing the high school there. The city commission repurposed $15 million worth of water, sewer, and road infrastructure costs from other projects in the city to deal with the impacts of the high school. $15 million we repurposed from, it might be serving you, or it might be 27th, or it might be some other roads around town, or other water and sewer. We took all of that money and put it to make sure that the high school can open up on time, and there wasn't this Woodstock line of porta potties,
right?
Outside the high school.
Good deal. Let's take a phone call here, then we got to take a break. Caller, you are on the air with Jeff Krauss. What's going on?
Hey, Jeff, it's Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, so Cottonwood south of Durston towards Huffline is horrible, as you know. There's signs all over the place. It looks like a minefield. But there's a worse road, and I'm curious about it, is South Black, south of Main Street, and a dead end. So I guess it's an underappreciated road. But have you driven down that thing lately? You basically have to drive 2 miles an hour.
I have friends down that. You mean, Pat, where it turns to dirt? Where it turns to dirt, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always been a dirt road back there.
All right. All right, we got to duck out here, pay some bills. Jeff's got to hang around. When we come back, we've got to ask him about the lawsuits against the city. So we got the city and county battling. We got the finalization of the Roger Koopman deal going on. So we'll talk with Jeff about both of those when we come back. So whatever he can say or not say, we'll...
Well, I think we settled the Koopman lawsuit, so I might be able to talk about that a bit.
All right. We'll be right back with more right after this. All right, welcome back, everyone. It is 26 minutes before the top of the hour, Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 48 degrees outside. Shaman Taubman in Vancouver, British Columbia, online with me, and half man, half amazing, Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor in the house, and Jeff Krauss, three-time mayor of Bozeman and current city commissioner. And from our text line, 478-8298, if Jeff wants noise to fill your head, you could do no better than Fox's Tucker and Hannity, Trump propaganda network stooges. And apparently the texter must watch them on a regular basis to know that.
They must, yeah. Again, I think I said television news is talking head. So
yeah.
Thanks for the recommendation, but I'll pass.
Yeah.
Listen, before we get into the lawsuit thing, the biggest news out of last night was the commission overturned decades and decades of policy.
Ooh.
We have never forcibly annexed people, okay?
Yeah.
We wait for people to come to us and say, we want to annex, usually because they want to develop.
In the city, yeah.
We want to be in the city. Last night, because of tax equity, it's unfair that they drive out of their driveway and drive on a city street without paying for it. They are going to forcibly annex the properties that are wholly surrounded in the city. So if you live on Western Drive, you live on Valley Drive, there are 30 different parcels like this. The city is coming to get you, and they are going to do a hostile takeover, and they're going to forcibly annex you into the city. And when they do, they're going to charge you impact fees, connection fees. If there's been an SID around you that you were part of it, you'll become part of that. And of course, you'll pay city taxes. And so it's a greed thing, right? It's how can we get more money? Well, we can forcibly annex. Now there is, and that is a serious thing. They are coming out to get you. You should go to your county commission and ask them to write a letter and say, hey, please write a letter objecting to this, right? They've chosen to be out in the county. They've chosen to be not in the city. And yet now the city is going to go forcibly annex them. And so our neighbors who live in the unincorporated areas are going to live in fear of essentially being extorted by the city.
Because you're talking about some big bucks here, all in one bill.
Yeah, you'd get impact fees, hookup fees, maybe have to pay off an SID, your share of an SID that suddenly you're part of because you're in the city. All of those payback districts, all of those, really it is greed. I think you boiled it down. Suddenly are going to have to pay their fair share.
Is there any way of getting around it?
Yes, there's a great way of getting around it. You cannot annex you cannot annex agricultural property. So I am recommending that everybody go out and get a donkey. Yeah. And once you have a donkey and declare yourself agricultural property, we can't annex your ass.
There you go.
I love you, Krauss. You're great.
So there you are.
Anyway, I wanted to get that in there because never mind about the county welching on its agreement to pay for the roads that 25,000 people use every day, or settling the lawsuit that made attorneys richer. This one overturning decades of policy. We've never had forcible annexation as a policy in the time I've paid attention, which has been a good 25 years. To overturn that and to begin to go after people, our neighbors, I really, maybe the purchase of the Bearcat is one. This one is a close second in embarrassing moments in my time on the commission.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it's kind of. From our text app, 478-8298, we on the app didn't get to hear Jeff's answer to Kevin about South Black because of our delay.
Oh, yeah.
Radio Pub cuts some of our stuff off. So if you could repeat what Kevin was asking about the dead end and how bad South Black was and what the...
Yeah, the dead end is a dirt road.
Yeah.
And it's always been a dirt road. And people built their houses on a dirt road. If they want an SID... if they want us to increase their taxes and create an SID and
special improvement district
and build that road to a city standard, they need to come to us and ask for it. I don't think we're going to impose that unilaterally, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people that like their rough road dead end back there because it keeps people from coming back there. But
stay out of my neighborhood.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that way, and I don't think we'd have support for that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's the story on that part of and it's truly a road to nowhere. It just dead ends back there, so it's not like a Cottonwood that's going to be a major road in between Huffine Lane and south.
Yeah, there's not much
and the high school, right?
Yeah.
It isn't that kind of arterial or collector. It's just a local street that people built on and put a dirt road back there. And I every once in a while somebody says, "Well, you haven't paved my road," and I always say the same thing. We could decide to do an SID, and you'd pay $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 over the life of the Special Improvement District bond to put that through. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
And by the way, folks, if you don't want to buy a donkey, you can call up Senator Tester's office and ask him to get the money to build a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, you could. You could also, I think, plant hemp.
Yeah.
Plant hemp.
Plant hemp. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, thanks for waiting. You're on with Jeff Krauss. What's up?
Hey, no problem. Hey, thanks for that information about the annexation. I guess the rules and laws are made by people who show up. And I'm just wondering who proposed the annexation thing and who all voted on it. I mean, I don't want you to call out your buddies there that you work with, but I mean, it's probably interesting for all of us to know, like, who's behind it, what's behind it. Are there other reasons? Is there someone else who's pulling some strings? I mean, what's going on with that annexation thing? It needs to go against everything we all stand for out here about individual freedom. So,
it does. It goes against everything that I believe government should be, and I guess. When we passed it evidently it became a sticking point at some point in the last few years because the other four commissioners and even the other 4 commissioners, and even the ones, and even the prior mayor, all supported this forcible annexation. Going back, and then when the strategic plan was adopted, right, the strategic plan for the city, this was a key component in the strategic plan, according to the other 4 commissioners. That's why I voted against the strategic plan, one of the reasons. And it was and it rose to a high level of priority for the commission. So we passed the strategic plan. This was one that the 4 commissioners directed the staff to begin to work on immediately. So there must be an immediate reason for the commission to want this. I don't know what that reason is. Obviously, I'm in the minority on this, but I would tell you that over the years, I don't remember other commissions before the ones that these 4 have been on, or the 3, ever being concerned about this. We always just accepted that. The only time we said, oh, you have to annex in, is when someone's septic system failed and they said, oh, we want to join the city's septic system. And we said, well, then you have to annex. And, we don't extend sewer systems beyond our boundary. That's the only time. And that was always accepted, liberal, conservative. It was always accepted by the city. And then sometime in the last 10 years, that turned around and you had the next mayor, the current mayor, aggressively advocating for doing this.
All right. We got to take a break.
Because
real quick.
They not live within their means in the city? I mean, are they doing a poor job of managing what we've got? It seems like there's a lot of construction and a lot of growth, a lot of new business moving to town, a lot of buildings going up. I mean, it seems like there's money coming into Bozeman. And I'm just wondering, I mean, I'm one of those people. I've lived on Stuckey Road for years, and now I live just outside of the county, or out of the city limits, and now you're telling me, pretty soon I'm probably going to be paying to, put some new cobblestone crosswalks on Main Street or something like that that don't really affect me. And I'm just wondering, what is really going on? Are these guys doing a good job?
Well,
and should we look into this? Should someone fight back and file some kind of complaint against the county? I mean, I worked on the gravel pit committee once years ago trying to get that to slow down, but, unfortunately, a couple of guys go to a different county's judge and they can change what's going on here in our county. I mean, it seems like we are up against this group of developers that potentially are so good at manipulating municipalities, communities, cities, and so many layers of government that they come here to Bozeman and they just steamroller right through whatever they want. And we go from a nice town with houses and yards to a whole bunch of townhomes slammed in. People can barely afford to live in like a $1,500 one-bedroom apartment. I mean, what is going on?
Yeah.
And who are we working for here?
Well,
so
we're gonna have to answer that after the break.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for the call. All right, we'll be right back. 12 minutes for the top of the hour, Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, 48 degrees outside. Shane Matavin on the line from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. And the real mayor, or ex-mayor, 3-time mayor of Bozeman, Jeff Krauss, joins us. And from our text line, I like it when Jeff gets salty for the rest of us. Keep up the good work. Okay, we'll go with that one. Let's see. Will the city annexation include the mobile home park at Huffine and Ferguson? And we talked about that off the air.
And I think it could. And remember, though, that they're affordable because they're not subject to the city rules.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a different kind of. But to force every individual trailer to pay hookup fees to hook up to water, to hook up to sewer, to all of that, I think is would be unconscionable. I believe it would take those out.
You'd have a vacant lot. I mean,
you'd have what the fellow said, townhomes. I wanted to point out though, he said he was on the edge of town on Stuckey there. As long as you're not wholly surrounded, you're safe for now. There is a different kind of extension of services in state law where you can adjacent, where you can do adjacent, it's harder. But if you're wholly surrounded, the city commission
like Riverside.
is coming after you.
You're not going to go get Riverside because they're not fully surrounded. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. How many members of the commission are from California?
I don't think any of them are, but I don't believe so anyway.
Also for our text line, 478-8298. It's funny how progressives get so hot and bothered over one TV station, Fox, and a couple opinion hosts, but can't see that every other station and all newspapers, colleges, and pop culture is far left. Can't conservatives have one area to vent? So there you are. Apparently not. No,
absolutely not. Yeah. Right? They just had a thing up on campus where a number of conservative speakers spoke, and well known. It was, that was quite the deal up there for conservatism and free speech. And of course, the Democrats have come unglued and started talking about hate speech and it's you just boy, if you're not towing the Elizabeth Warren Karl Marx party line, you're hate speech.
You're ostracized. Yeah. Let's take a break or take a call real quick, and then we got to take a break. Caller, real quick. You're on the air. What's going on?
This is Pete, and I was just curious about this annexation business. Does that also include those homes along Western?
Yes, Western Drive and Valley Drive, I believe, will be specifically called out. It's just unfair that you drive on city streets. That I've heard that a number of times from my fellow commissioners. It's not. I drive on county roads. It's not unfair.
Yeah.
Right? It's what we do as a society, right? But yes, if you live on Valley or Western, I believe that is the case, that you will be used as Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, I have another question for you. As far as streets that go by the high school, Flanders Mill, is that going to be considered kind of a main entrance to the high school, or is that supposed to be Cottonwood? And the reason I ask is because if it's kind of a main entrance or whatever, there's no turn lane. It's just two lanes, and I can just imagine in the morning it kind of being jammed up with traffic going to the high school. Do I have that wrong?
So, everything out there is still under construction, if you will, in this huge project. We always call it the big project. But we needed to upgrade Flanders Mill from what it was, or it couldn't have carried the truck traffic that is beating the stuffing out of Cottonwood Road and Durston right now. But Cottonwood Road is going to be a significant road. It's going to be 4 lanes down to Durston, and I think it's going to be 4 lanes down to Oak, and maybe even down to, this one isn't on the schedule yet, down to Baxter. And you remember now that the city extends all the way out to Axtell Anthony, and so you'll see significant work on Baxter as well. And I believe that the road you were talking about, that I always forget the name of, Flanders, it had to be built to a standard that would allow the trucks, the
hauling of the trucks. Yeah.
And I that it's really only one side of the street right now that's been built. So I'm not sure. It kind of looks like that's it, but it's going to be a main road that will service the park and the high school, I'm certain.
Okay. I got to take a break. Hey, thanks for the call. And, I can see the caller's point there. If you got traffic coming both directions, they're trying to make left turns or right turns into the parking lot. That could be a problem.
Remember that Oak is going to extend.
Yeah, that's true.
Right,
too.
to the west.
Yeah.
So Oak
they
will
could
be
go straight in if you put a light there or something. I guess
there will be a light there.
Or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll be right back with more with Jeff Krauss right after this. Welcome back. It is 3 minutes before the top of the hour, Tuesday, April 23rd, 48 degrees outside, actually. And Jeff Krauss, 3-time mayor in the House. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. And from our text line, 478-8298, if Andy wants to call in and accuse the city of socialism due to the forced annexation, he would be right. So there you are. I wish more people like the last caller, and I don't think it was the very last caller, but it was one of the callers. I wish more people like one of the callers would run for city commission. As long as we keep electing only liberals to this body, we will be getting more and more of the same. We need more common sense on the commission. So that should bring us up to speed on our
you do have to live in the city, though, right? You have to live in the city.
Yeah, that's the so if you're annexed, then you can really run. So.
Yeah, you could express your frustration about
that's right. You at least get the vote of your people around you.
Yeah. So, I think if you're on Valley Drive or Western Drive, you're Exhibit A, right? You're there. The city, the rest of the city has a warm, fuzzy feeling about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be an issue too. I'm assuming there are most of that is single family homes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's single family homes. It's on well and septic, and it'll be hugely expensive to run sewer and individual sewer.
House.
So
that's going to be a pricey addition there that they're not going to get back when they sell their home.
Remember, this is all about fairness.
Is this going to have a whole bunch of people there put their houses on the market and you got to have truth in lending, obviously. You got to know that
I think
this expense is coming.
When this passes and this happens and you put your house on the market, it'll be a disclosable item. Yep. Yeah, well, and I think if you're in those streets, you also you're subject to a payback district for the SID on Durston. And so you'd immediately have a liability there as well for the paving of Durston. So big deal. Hey, as far as the Roger Koopman lawsuit settlement, it costs a lot of money to delay construction, far more than paying off the lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
The end result is that the lawyers made some money. I think Roger Koopman, I admire his activism and what he's done. Mm-hmm. Going back to when he was writing a column in the Chronicle and always having the alternate point of view. And so I hold no ill will to Roger Koopman for what he tried to do. Mm-hmm. It turned out to be a little expensive, but I understand where he's coming from. Look, we have free speech rights, and I exercise them every Tuesday, 8 to 9 on this radio show.
There you go. All right, we got to go. Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Mayor. Goodbye, Mr. Krauss. Hey, everyone, be happy, be safe.
All right. Thanks for being here. All right, Jeff, thanks for being here. Thanks for putting the word out to these folks. We'll see how this plays out. I would think the people from Western and some of these other areas will show up at the city commission meeting and let their voices be heard.
Wholly surrounded is the key. If you're just on the edge, we're not after
you're safe,
you yet.